Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where we're gearing up for DFM versus T1. The final outing onto the stage for Detonation FocusMe, but already a very historic run for this LJL squad. I'll remind everybody that they had to play through the play-ins, first out of their group in order to get to this point. Already history made. And while they are winless so far in the group stage, I think that's what's on their minds right now, to add to that already historic run with the possibility of a win over the winningest org in the history of League of Legends, T1.
What does everybody want at Worlds in the boot camp? Just to even take a game off FLICKR in solo queue. But on the World stage now, they have the chance. We've been talking up Aria all day long for this team. Now he gets a shot.
Yeah, and I feel like, right, that's the hype matchup, Aria versus FLICKR. But you look all over the Rift for this one. I mean, Evi's had some cool picks this tournament, had some good performances going up against Canna, who's been dominant. Their bottom lane for the side of T1 has been highly touted. I feel like anywhere you can take a win against T1 is a high accolade.
Yeah, by the same token, FLICKR is no stranger to going up against emerging regions or minor regions who bring everyone to the mid lane to try and take him out. So he's definitely going to be prepared for it, I think. But if DFM can make the game messy, they have a shot.
This is also week 2 at T1, and
the scarier version.
They're notoriously much more scary in week 2, and it's already shown in the play thus far. Really well coordinated, controlling neutral objectives super early on. Especially their game earlier versus EDG, definitely impressive. So it bodes very scary.
Now, while the game does not have standing stakes, it can still mean a lot for this LJL squad. And for T1, don't drop it if you want to contest for that #1 spot. We're back over to the boys for the call.
Oh, the boys. I like
it's
that.
us.
It's us.
We're the boys.
Yep. Hello, boys here. Yeah, and I think it's the wow. I just ruined my. I can't. I feel like it's bad SNL skit. Here we are heading to picks and bans.
This is our job, by the way.
0-5 for DFM. You know, I think obviously monumental again that they have made it this far, but very, very hard group.
Yeah, I mean, if only they had an easy group like FPX and Damwon.
Oh!
It would have been free. Straight through the quarters.
Okay, maybe a little too soon, but you know, I respect the body's still fresh, but I respect you. You gotta do what you gotta do. Lee Sin banned away alongside the Lucian. LeBlanc now coming up. That's the triple L. We'll see if it's gonna be 6 Ls after this one, with Aurelia now taking off the board as well.
Yuumi's available. Interesting to see if DFM is willing to pay Yuumi, or if T1's willing to give it away. Last time they gave Yuumi away.
I think they'd be willing to play it. I mean, we saw Steel have a fantastic talent game. That pairing is really strong. If you're not going to ban it and you're not willing to pick it, well, you're going to give Red Side a really strong
you
one.
have to.
It feels like it's a must at this point. It's just such a strong champion.
Certainly the case. T1 will see what their answer is going to be. I mean, earlier today they showed that they can very much beat the Yuumi. I think the Poppy pick just generally very strong. If she ever dismounts anywhere near Poppy, she's dead. All the champions that Yuumi wants to pair with want to dash anyway, so we'll see if that's going to be the priority. Maybe it's something that DFM try to proactively take away.
I mean, my assumption is they'll probably just go Leona on 3. I think that Leona has been another really highly prized support. Does give them the ability to engage. Going double AD carry in their 1-2, you're expecting this to be Graves top for Canna. Of course, you do have the other option of just going a more defensive route and going an Enchanter to match the laning power of Yuumi.
Exactly, and it'll at least give them pressure through bot lane. I'm expecting that to be a Lulu on 3, because they definitely don't want that to be taken away. The Thresh is available. Keria is a great Thresh player, so that is an option if they just want to play directly to bot lane.
See what the options are going to be. I really just generally like the Yuumi Jhin pairing though. Jhin obviously so strong on his own, wants to sit in the back line anyway and kind of rain down a little bit more poke, soften them up before the fight starts. So it does free up Yuumi to be more focused on those bruiser style champions. But who are they going to pick to pair with this Yuumi so effectively? The Zoe, not what we normally look for, but now a lot of poke on the side of DFM. They have actually just so much poke, huge range advantage at this point. Have to see how they can utilize it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the Lulu being hovered, but that's an Aria special. That's been his best champion domestically and at this tournament. So not surprised that in what feels like your final game, you want to show your best self, and putting yourself on the Zoe, I think a good call.
The stage now heading into the ban phase though. Lulu picked up. Keria and Gumayusi set up to dominate the bottom side of the map if they get going. Always difficult to take down Aphelios when he's paired with this Lulu.
Yeah, the Talon ban, I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, I called it out earlier. Steel actually had a really good game against EDG. It wasn't a loss, but really was a standout player for them. And that pairing alongside Yuumi is something that Oner and Keria also showed really can be very, very powerful. Could also look towards a top lane ban. Evie has been getting Urgot banned against him all the time. They already have their top laner, and we're expecting DFM to just ban away mid laners here to try to protect FLICKR.
Yeah, I would have expected a perfect composition for DFM to be Jace and Jhin. Good thing that Jhin was banned, but they can still find a jungler that can fill that position just as a frontliner, just because you're going to have a pretty poke pick type of composition on the side of DFM, so still a few things available.
Taking their time on this final ban from the side of DFM. Have to be careful about what they pick here. Really pondering the options. The J4 are going to be the one that comes out. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of immobile carries so far from what we've seen on the side of DFM.
Yeah, and I also think that, honestly, T1 needs some sort of engage, right? You know, they can play it a little bit slower, a little bit kite back, but like Graves generally wants someone to engage for him to set him up. Not going to get baited by the hover, but it would be cool.
Season 3. Flashbacks? Oh, okay. Also Season 3, but like every season, less spicy.
Yeah.
Well, now if it's Orianna, I feel like for sure Oner's going to go for some sort of an engage. You generally want setup for this. You're playing double AD carry with 2 shielding champions. You want some sort of a front line that can actually create space so that they can move forward. And I wonder what we're going to see here coming out as the answer to Canna in the top lane. Can't say I would be a fan of Renekton. Renekton just feels so weak on this patch, but it is going to be Renekton. And now, unless you draft something that's like dominating in jungle, I just don't see how you can really punish the Graves.
Do they just send Graves jungle and immediately slap a cannon top down? One of Kanna's best picks. Picked it a ton pretty much every time it was open.
Good. I just think compositionally you end up with a bit of a weird space, right? Like because you don't have any sort of real engage on T1. Doesn't mean that they couldn't just blow you out in the laning phase and win like that, but it does feel a little bit harder. And Shaco!
Okay.
I think he actually brought this out in the LJL a number of times. I want to say, I don't have the stat right to mind, but I want to say it's something like 4-0. Like
He played it
a significant amount of times
Insane.
in the LJL.
4 times confirmed. Thank you, Marcus.
Wow.
And he also drew bans in the LJL. So this is not actually a troll pick. This is not a like, it's our last game of Worlds, haha. It's actually a real pick. It is respected in the LJL. And it's very exciting. I think throwing a curveball like this makes a lot of sense.
And for me, just instantly looking at the mid lane. You want to be able to get flash off of FLICKR on the Orianna and set Aria up to succeed. I believe that has to be the strategy. Either way, look towards your top side of the map and getting Evie and Aria ahead.
So Oner goes for the Qiyana. That is going to be their way to get things started. Send it to Qiyana, paired up with the Orianna to deliver that shockwave follow-up potentially. It is a very squiffy composition here on T1. Going to have to kite out the initial engage from the champions like the Shaco, like the Renekton, like the Yuumi. But if you can actually back off, they have so much damage coming through that the front line is going to get roasted from DFM.
And you have an Aphelios with an Orianna and a Lulu standing next to him. You've got a Graves with an Orianna and a Lulu standing next to him. He's going to be very fast. He's going to be very hard to kill if those initial cooldowns do not finish him off.
That being said, if you can get ahead here as DFM, and that is a big if because T1's early game is legendary, you can run over these types of squishy compositions. You find an engage from ahead, everyone can start to crumble on the T1 side.
That's why I'm interested in the first clear here for Steel, because if you can get a flash through mid lane or change up timings on the top side of the map, so now, sure, Graves, who's been throughout the tournament running rough shot top lane, getting pushed it off, just picking up plates on turret, then great. You have a Renekton that's rolling. You have a play around Dragon, maybe even a TP advantage. So really interested to see what Steel's pathing is.
I'm also interested to see if T1's actually going to invade Shaco, because a lot of Shacos, really do kind of depend on the early box setup to have a super fast clear, especially some Shacos do the boxes at multiple camps, right? Trying to really accelerate the clear speed. And in a lot of organized plays, people will actually just do a strong invade as long as they're confident they're level 1 to try to just pop the boxes back out and really slow down the Shaco's clear.
You can see Keria hovering. Has Gumayusi in the area.
Yeah, it's line of scrimmage, though. I don't think that they're looking to do it. And this first Shaco box is actually really smart, because if T1 were to invade, they at least have this one to try to defend.
It's going to spot them out if they step too far forward. Swept and taken down. But now they can be reasonably sure that Shaco is starting on the top side, or at least not able to start multiple camps as they've cleared Raptors. Maybe he is on red, maybe he's on top side. They're not 100% certain.
You can even see here on top side Canna just walking in just to get any vision on if he could see Shaco.
And this is actually pretty smart. So I think they basically anticipated it. He puts one defensive box over by the red buff to just cover the invade, and then 2 boxes here on Wolves. So he's actually not starting a buff. You know, he is potentially starting there on the Wolves to just actually circumvent this. And he'll drop a 3rd box over at the blue. So he'll clear the Wolves, he'll move up to the blue, pull the blue back into that box, have his cooldown up for potentially another, and try to really accelerate that clear while making it safe from the invade.
Thankfully, T1 will still be able to get to see what side of the map he's starting on. Of course, late ward being put down by Canna, so should recognize Steel's going to be looking for bot side, maybe even challenging for bot scuttle, so Oner will be ready for that.
But you can also see the comparison between a Shaco and a leashless Qiyana jungle start. The pace, obviously, very much in favor of the Shaco early on. Has Ignite as well. So see how Steel wants to play this. If you've played solo queue ever in your life, you know how miserable it is to be ganked by a Shaco. Very oppressive champion early in the game.
And with Hail of Blades here as well, the early game power pretty high. You know, I am expecting it to be an AD Shaco. So it'll be interesting to see exactly where he wants to go. If he's going to go straight towards Mythic, if he's going to go Ghostblade, which we've seen a lot of lethality champions rushing towards, or even something, you know, more like an Umbral Glaive to control vision.
He's pinging this top side, and so good thing Canna was able to get that ward off so he can just back away from the wave and play as safely as possible. It makes it so now Oner knows that he can play for this mid lane for Scuttle, but FLICKR.
There you go. Going in. Is immediately going to get the flash out. 2 ship poison on
wow.
top of that big early damage.
I love that. He didn't even use the Ignite. It's so common to see people just autopilot on that, press the Ignite on their first gank, but he forces the flash without using it, and now could run into Oner here, and he would have Ignite advantage, but Oner does have red buff and Steel does not.
Be difficult. Is he going to go for the play? If he baits him into the box, it should be decent setup. Backstab going to be important here, but good ward from Oner just to make sure he has been the entire time.
And just take a look at the bot lane. You're going to have Gumayusi and Keria moving up because they've had Cryo now. So even with the work Steel's been putting down, going to be pushed off of Scuttlecraft.
And I got to say, while FLICKR did have to burn flash there, and it's been a solid early game.
Hold
that thought, Aria. Going forward. Big damage. Finished in first blood, FLICKR! This man does not stop. Last game was the Twisted Fate show. Even though it was a loss, he comes out and he first bloods FLICKR 1v1.
Back-to-back games. Aria showing up, and they're TP top.
Zoe now coming in as well. Heavy now dashing through, stacking up the Rage, has Conqueror proc. Not going to be able to see him in the smoke screen, but now they're stepping forward. Kanna's going to be in trouble dashing into the bush, but Aria can just walk forward. He doesn't have enough health. Aria taking his time on this one. This man is out of his mind. 2 kills already.
Crown this man. Insane start from Aria, and really smart from Evie to just play around the minion wave so Graves couldn't even get a return kill there.
And I honestly did not think I would need to use this graphic today, but here we go. Let me remind you that we are expecting 5-1, 5-1 tiebreaker end of the day. We want to complete the EDG T1 best of 3. That's what the people are waiting for. But DFM, they're looking to get 1 win on the board. If they get that 1 win over T1, EDG beating 100 Thieves, and unless 100 Thieves also beat EDG, that's EDG out in first, SKT out in second. T1 rather.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a huge win. I will say Steel's clear has been incredibly slowed down. You know, they were playing so heavily around that bot scuttle, and he still had all 3 bot side camps available. He now did get his red, but he lost his Krugs. Looks like he's going to lose his Raptors here as well. And we can watch this one more time, just walking straight up, using the cleanse for the move speed, auto into the sleep, backs out of turret range, and then the paddle star around the minions, plus the empowered auto, the stolen flash to bounce right back out. That is clean from Aria.
Absolutely. Oner now stepping forward, though, on the bottom side. They're going to have to respect it on the side of DFM. Already 1 plate getting taken down. Remember, Shaco was the crazy variable. Aria certainly coming out as well, something T1 might not have been ready for. But otherwise, across the map, it really is a full court press. Mid lane really the only strong point right now for DFM. FLICKR potentially in trouble here. 2 ship poison. No follow-up auto attack.
Yeah, just thought of Fog there. And just a reminder, Shaco is not seen if he queues in Fog anymore. So still a positive thing for Shaco players there, where no flash on FLICKR, just losing HP off of these ganks.
And you can see Evie's trying to hold the wave, but this always gets a little bit dicey when you're already kind of low on health. You know, he's trying to make it feel risky for Canna. Canna's so healthy, and he does have a ward in the river. And until you actually have levels on Shaco, like, you can't just queue over the wall and get all the way into the lane. So he's feeling pretty safe, and I do think that Evie overplayed his hand. When you really try to freeze into a heavy wave like that, you take so much harass. And unless the jungler is there immediately to punish, it doesn't get you anything. And in this case, T1 is actually looking to dive instead. Unless Evie hits 6, he's in danger. Oh, the whip.
Canna just hit level 6. Ulti going wide is big. Oner can now step forward. Water Blade, if he double dashes to the wave, will he hit 6? Wants to clear it, is immediately going to hit 6, is immediately now going to ult. He's holding on and he's moving back. That's Oner's flash gone. Steel now on the way in. Ignite coming in from the invisible Shaco. Will now be revealed. Canna holding the line though, playing with confidence.
That was actually really well played. Evie dashing into the wave, killing just enough minions to get 6. They get 2 flashes off that for just the ulti and the ignite.
And Steel also just backing them up there, was on Gromp and in position in case that were happening, so they didn't feel concerned about it. But yeah, it started with Evie taking a bad trade, but in the end, able to defend him.
Evie now going to push this wave in. Canna backing off. Looks like they are going to fish for the collapse here. Steel, of course, has already backed Evie. Right when we praise him, it might be a little bit too late, but there's no CC here, and that means he should be able to make it out. And they'll take out the burst damage, barely!
Ooh. Oh, yikes. That actually hurts. I thought he was at least TPing to base, so he would have been back to base quicker, but does get out. Unfortunately, means his recall is going to be pretty delayed, as he was just TPing to that tier 2. But either way, does escape. And maybe Steel needed to stay around a little bit longer, but I think they made the read. Canna's really low. They both just flashed. They expected T1 to have reset. They stay out on the map for a longer time there. They do get out the TP.
And so now I'm seeing T1 stabilizing, and a lot of it's based off of Gumayusi and Keria. Earlier on, they were able to threaten dive, push Gaeng and Yutapon off the wave, and so they're behind. And they've been at under turf for quite some time, so maybe Steel can upset that. He is positioning for a gank.
Invisible has a Yuumi attached to him. That's an obnoxious combo. Gumayusi, though, the sidestep. Exhaust immediately coming out, and he's firing back. Polymorph on the Shaco. Very squishy champion. Ulti now coming in. He is not scared of that Shaco. Instant turn to burn from Gumayusi. Perfect guns. Perfectly played.
If Yutapon was able to get that snare on Gumayusi, that would have changed a little bit more. But man, what a great response from them and Keria to get the kill back.
Yeah, it's all about the sidestep from Gumayusi there. Just beautifully played by him, dodging the Jhin W. And as soon as that comes down, Steel knows that he can't actually close the gap, so he's immediately retreating, but he is not 6. His farm has been very slow here. You can see a number of camps actually behind Oner, who already is 6. So you don't have a lot of defensive tools there. When you use the Q in, no way to really get out.
Yeah, and it's getting worse and worse here. Just taking a look at this now on the setup. I like the idea because T1 would be in position for a dragon, as you can see, with Oner in the river. But yeah, they turn it on their heads, able to get enough damage. Ignite also pinging so they can get the kill on towards Shaco. Now looking towards Rift Herald.
And the thing is, if you make a single misstep in that gank, you are guaranteed to die. He had no ammo on 2 guns, which means he gets to cast 4 abilities in the space of half a second, and he might get to do it again. Steel now running. Evie now going forward, just wants to focus his kill on Canna, and he's going to grab at least 1. Fury not stacked quite yet. Steel has to be careful on this one. Level 6 has the ultimate and can use it, but the Yuumi will reveal who the real one is. Still, the clone Shaco going in. The Renekton locked into the wall. The Shaco locked up anyway. Keria can backstep, but now they're going in. It's a fear coming out. Evie will go down. Yutapon stepping forward. FLICKR, no mana in the area. Aria is here. 4-shot available. The Gumayusi just going to start to walk it down. DFM, scrappy fight on the top side.
Yeah, DFM did not expect everyone from TM to be there, or T1 to be there, rather. As the bot lane was already there, when Steel jumps over the wall and Gumayusi and Keria are waiting for him, they were not ready for that, but Evie does get the solo kill on Canna, so not bad whatsoever.
Yeah, the setup happened during the replay, and it looks like now Steel's looking for another play on Gumayusi. But in the end, T1, their aim was Rift Herald. They can still go towards it. They're keeping their bot side up in the top lane. And so it's going to be pretty difficult for DetonatioN FocusMe to kind of try to stop them. Here they are.
Oh, very high stakes to go into the Aphelios. He's got all the guns that he needs. He's going in. He's healing up. What are you doing? This is when the champion is the strongest. You just walked right into melee range.
Your red gun, white gun, and a Lulu right next to you. Steel learned that one the hard way.
Red, white, don't fight.
Yeah, that was a math test, and DFM did not pass.
They didn't have the calculator.
Nope. It's hard without the old
Red
TI
plus white
83.
equals gray. That's the math on that one. You hate to see it happen.
You do hate to see it. T1 now pushing in the mid lane. Their lead steadily growing. Yes, some strong individual moments from the side of DFM. Aria now fishing in for big damage. And while that looks good, the 2K gold deficit certainly does not.
That's true. But if you squint, you could only see what was happening in the middle of the screen. Be like, DFM's doing great.
If we highlighted it like one of those Chinese TikToks where you can't see the scoreboard whatsoever, just the little right there, it would have been perfect. Ooh, FLICKR.
So Shaco definitely not working out so far. I mean, it's tough, honestly. You're playing essentially like what works as an assassin here, kind of. And every time he's going in against Keria, he has to use the Q to actually get in. But then when that's on cooldown, he just gets polymorphed immediately, and he's getting exploded during the polymorph pretty much every single time. Really starting to actually struggle, both to keep up in farm and to actually really get anything done in these plays.
That's why I want them to use Aria a little bit more. A lot of the times they think they're strong enough to be able to just come in as a trio, knowing that Oner is back in base, or earlier on in the game knowing that Oner was in the opposite side of the map. But just use a strong point of the map. He's been doing really well here, and now they're trying to make that happen.
Okay, damage, but while we all know what it feels like to play against the Fed Shaco, you might now recognize what a behind Shaco does, and it is very little.
Yeah, I mean, Steel is so unthreatening. Like, you have to kill Gumayusi to do anything. Gumayushi's playing with Exhaust. He has Keria behind him on the Lulu. He has a full shield bow completed, and it's a phage pickaxe. You know, there's no threat whatsoever from Steel. So at this point, T1 should feel confident to just show up to objectives, start taking them, and make DFM come to you.
It really is just going to be the Gumayusi show. Of course, all of T1, though, looking relatively strong. You can see FLICKR still mid-lane pressure, still getting plates, but he's going to go Tabby, he's going to go Collector, and he's going to one-shot you. He's not going to need to auto-attack, he will just push abilities.
Yeah, and once again, Yutapon and Gaeng have to leave this turret. This free turret plates there, going over to Gumayusi and Keria. And yeah, Rift Trail being placed. This is something that T1 can just do on repeat. Regardless of where Gumayusi and Keria are sitting, they can just consistently play around this strongest piece, and it's working out well for them.
See the struggle for Steel. It's just going to take a lot of time to clear that out. Aria flashing through, trying to outplay FLICKR. FLICKR flashing over the wall, however. Portal jump, where's it going to go? Second Herald charge on the bottom side. Aria desperate to finish the kill, but will not find another 1v1. Has a stolen flash. FLICKR forced to retreat, so Aria should be able to trade a little bit of something back.
Man, I've got to say, yes, it's very clearly looking like it's going one way at this point, but Aria has played like such a monster today. He is truly showing that he is world-class. He absolutely gapped Avadaga last game. He's gotten the kill, and he's gotten the pressure on FLICKR this game. Yes, he got some help from Shaco, but he is playing so well today.
Definitely is. Oner just going to do what he can to catch the experience and the wave, and T1 just steadily pulling ahead. Again, small moments, good moments from DFM, but sadly the Shaco really shut down in the early game. Makes it feel like it's going to be so hard for them to get anything done to stop T1's steadily snowballing gold.
Yeah, they have to do something about Canna here. I say that as Gumayusi and Keria are back in the top lane to back him up and get this top turret. But he's just been a beast throughout the tournament, having the highest CS differential, and overall has been getting a lot of draft resources. The Graves has been a real power piece for him.
He's also getting a lot of Oner resources up there in that top lane.
I think the difficult part, too, now is they just keep sending him to different lanes. He keeps farming. He's pulling ahead of the Renekton despite having 2 deaths already. And now Gumayusi, they're just using him as a strong point, rotating around the map, breaking down all these towers. Is he going to get the plate before 14 minutes? No. No, he is not.
Yep, well, they did take that tower down. The lead really growing here now for T1. The Chemtech Putrefier is done for Keria. 2,000 gold lead there on the AD. 1,500 on supports. There's nothing to sneeze at either. And I mean, really, it's becoming very difficult. The only one who has a lead is Aria, and it's small enough that it's going to be difficult for him to make anything happen.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the top side jungle here, just great amount of vision control there for T1, and there's a ton of gold being put on this second tier turret. So right now, DFM have to try for a play, and it looks like it's going to be on Canna.
Canna now backing off. That's the Shaco clone, but instantly going to see that deleted. And now suddenly, there's a Qiyana running. He's going to get caught out by the sleep. Aria not going to turn back and try to fire again. Steel waiting in the darkness, but he's just forced to recall. T1 really not scared of DFM whatsoever.
But that's the benefit here from having so much vision in the top side, is that they didn't see them cutting through the top lane straight to the jungle. And now they're going to have first touch of this turret. So great job from T1 overall, making use of Gumayusi.
I mean, they just know they're so insanely far ahead. You just send Gumayusi up, start hitting the tower. Orianna and Lulu stand behind you. What are they going to do? Their wave clear isn't strong enough. They can't actually walk up to them and fight them either. So there's bleeding towers left and right here. They got both up in that top lane. They move mid. They take that. And T1 really starting to run away with this one.
And I just don't even know who the Shaco Yuumi combo can kill. You look at this combo without the item screen, and you go, that must be lethal. That's 2 ignites, that's an exhaust on top of a chilling smite, a Shaco with Halo Blades. But then you take into account where they are relative to the opposing team. It's just so underwhelming.
I mean, I think that there's a few people that they could kill if they can catch them out, you know, away from a tower and in a 2v1. But the problem is T1 is grouping up constantly. They're not overextending in these lanes.
Yeah.
You know, if you catch FLICKR or even Canna, you know, overextending in the lane, you could probably run them down. But T1 is never giving you the opportunity. They're always within the same quadrant as each other, so you just have to live a couple seconds and you're gonna have backup, and that has been the case every single time.
And since the early mistakes there from FLICKR just being picked out, I mean, he's been playing really safe and playing around phase rush and flash. So he doesn't have flash right now. He's not putting himself in a bad position. The TP coming through.
Forward, Secret Trouble Bubble not going to connect. Rather, Paddle Star will not connect now, trying to burn down Canna. Immortal Shield Bow proc. They will find the kill. It takes them a lot of resources, but T1, not a lot for them to take on the top side. Well, Herald just spawned, so never mind. I take that back.
Yeah, the jungle camp's being taken down. I mean, at this point, they're just going to try and at least chip at this mid lane inner while Rift Herald is being placed here. And with how much vision that they have on the map right now, they could actually just say, we're not going to base, we're just going to use Rift Herald now, and then bounce between both mid and top lane and just choose which one has the biggest wave.
And I mean, I think part of the difficulty here as well for DFM wasn't already hard enough is that because Yuumi has just been paired up with Steel for so long now, Yutapon has kind of been hung out to dry, right? He can't actually really move forward. He has to deal with this potential Qiyana. There's always Gumayusi and Keria stuck together as a duo, so he's just kind of getting scraps and falling further and further behind this insanely fed Aphelios.
Definitely an incredibly difficult map state. DFM, respect for fishing for the opportunities, finding that, but it only gets harder again as Graves gets more items under his belt. You can see starting to work towards a BT now at this stage of the game, and the man who's going to be unkillable, I think, for the rest of the game, short of a miracle inside of DFM, is Gumayusi. You see it now. Collector finished. He's the conqueror, lethality of Aphelios. This is so oppressive if it gets a lead.
Yeah, he's huge right now. So next fight, I would imagine it to be around Dragon. Don't think DFM can really take a fight on that one. They're pinging topside turret, and I believe that's just the right decision. Just try and trade across the map. And if we're just talking about the support jungle duo, it seems like Canna's going to be needing some defense.
Shockwave to delete the wave. You like it. Steel. Let's get the ulti down. FLICKR isolated to the side, and they are going to be able to break down mid-tier 1, but it looks like at the cost of bot tier 2, maybe even tier 3 if the Herald can get a second charge.
It's going to get a second charge for sure. They haven't even started their recalls until just now, so it's going to be a while. I don't think that they'll be able to finish it off, but T1 is just going mid. They're going to push up that as well. So they're going to try to threaten multiple tier 2s at the same time here. And again, the gold lead is extending further and further, and they will get that tier 3.
Now the wave is set up in the mid lane as well. DFM, maybe they try to go for the fight here, but the tower getting lower and lower. Evie going to dash in. Is going to get some good damage down with the Gore Drinker as well, but it's just going to get popped. Has the ultimate, has the Gore Drinker, but it's not nearly enough. Red-white, definitely time for DFM not to fight, to back away.
It's getting depressing really quickly, Dracos.
Yeah.
It's getting to that point. Evie busting out of his suit to see if he can start a fight, anything for his team. But yeah, I said trade and forgot Rift Herald was a thing, so really good decision from T1 to just say, well, we have vision in the bottom side jungle. We can just literally bounce from bot and hip turret, mid inner turret, and now DFM is just struggling to find anything on the map.
This is brutal.
They got a Gromp.
They got a Grump. I started the game, I saw 2 kills for the Zoe, and I believed in a miracle. And that belief is being slowly choked out of me by a Giga-fed Aphelios and all of T1. And this is why they are currently fighting with EDG for first seed. And again, how much they have stepped up. We saw the first game versus EDG, they got absolutely blasted. It was not even remotely close. EDG playing to a T, second time around, clean things up, playing a lot better, and we are now poised, if 100 Thieves can't make the upset, for the Game 3, the rematch, the tiebreaker.
And this was kind of always the story of T1 in the past, at previous Worlds. They ramp up throughout the tournament, get better and better. They've always been so adept at learning from their mistakes, at adjusting to the meta, at finding their niche within those powerful picks. And when they do, they're so tough to beat, especially because their early game is just so ridiculous this year. They've such an incredibly skilled roster of players, and now starting up this Baron.
Steel gonna have to live up to his name. 5K getting lower. Shaco Smite, level 10. Can he get it? 4K, they don't have vision on it, 3K. T1 want to flip it, they're ready. Are they just going to hold it at 3.5? They're not autoing the Baron. Yes, now they are again. 2.8, taking their time. Evie off to the side, just trying to bait the fight. It looks like they're going to find one with the ulti. Evie now getting pulled up, using his ultimate as well. Gumayusi backing up the Baron, but the Baron, they're still leashing it. They're still holding on to that point. Oner almost one-shot. Curtain call now coming out. T1 really trying to force DFM to come into them, trying to bait a mistake, but DFM playing it slow, not really giving much up.
That was the best thing they're done by DFM, and now they're pivoting for a fight. Aria's coming from a flank.
It's going to be easy to land the bubble. Bubble coming through. Now Faker going to be locked up, forced to flash away. Now Aria stepping forward. Looks like a creep going to tank that one. Pretty massive. Faker still rooted. Steal off to the side, but the Shaco not too menacing. DFM forcing T1 back, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get much else.
Not able to do anything really besides get them off the Baron because, again, T1 just kites it out. They stay together as this squad. Aria poking away as much as he can, but there's no real threat of a counter Baron on DFM side either.
Yeah, and I just liked what DFM did as a response because Oner was the one that was sitting in a flank spot looking for a fight. He didn't want to be in the pit. He wanted to force DFM's hand to put themselves in a position where they had to fight. But Steel was right behind the pit. No one trying to push him off. Looking for another kill on a Faker. That was a close one.
Yeah. The bubble going through the wall and off the map. If that had connected, you have to feel like Faker would have dropped.
The paddles are also very, very close there. You got to respect taking those swings here. Aria knows it's a long shot to come back in this game, but you've got to find picks if you want to have any hope whatsoever. But T1 just focusing so much on vision control. Look at all the sweepers they've got. They've got the Umbral Glaive here as well on Oner, you know, going more for the vision control, vision denial, just trying to shut DFM out of this game.
And that's been the strength of T1 in this group. They have the highest support jungle proximity. A lot of the time, vision is nailed down by Oner and Keria. They've done a great job at it, and it's surprising for such a young roster. Of course, specifically looking at Oner being that rookie this year with Gumayusi. So really good look for the team. You said that they were skilled, and it looks like they have the fundamentals down pat.
Very crucial.
And it feels like we're kind of just on this collision course for the tiebreaker. At the end of the day, of course, there is the chance that DFM can make something happen or that 100 Thieves could potentially pull off a miracle. But given any sort of upset, nothing like that happens, it is going to be T1 versus EDG, meeting for that first place seed. And EDG, despite being the LPL #1 4 times now, have never come out of groups #1. They always come out in second place. They always seem to fall short at Worlds, and T1 is looking to try to make that happen here once more.
INTZ tiebreaker. Got H2K out in first seed. Thank you, INTZ. Part of the 2016 run. C, BDG can make just a small bit of history today by taking T1 down in the tiebreaker, but of course, one game at a time for now. Steel locked up, has to play careful. Of course, Yuumi is getting stronger. She does have the Lulu and Shaco completed, so isolated members of T1 are still very much vulnerable, but when they play as kind of this death ball, it's so hard to get through both the Orianna and the Lulu shielding.
Yeah, they're going to have to go back there. I guess the blue trinket is being hidden by the control ward, but ultimately, wow, that's a lot of damage on towards Oner. They just wanted to play with time there, knowing that Graves was just threatening down bot lane. No one was responding to him. Now Renekton is going down there, but I think T1's doing a good job playing it respectfully, and now they should just start up. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, they're going to try to force here. I mean, they have no engage, so they can't really pick a lot of their fights. The only way to get fights is to actually go to the Baron, but then they have no tank, so the Baron is somewhat dangerous. They're relying on these shields. And DFM trying to get in here to stop them, but it is going down fast.
Still leaping out, heavy off to the side. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get into the pick. Can they do it, Steel? Can he find the miracle? He ults, but that just means he does not have time to land the smite. DFM now trying to force the fight in the meantime. Gumayusi on the backside, but he has not taken any damage yet. Red, white, do not fight. Do not take this one. Gumayusi finding a kill onto the Shaco in the meantime. All of DFM running. Yutapon got the 4-shot in the extra movement speed. Aria trying to lay down some damage from downtown, but Evie just going into the meat grinder and getting chewed up. Oner can leap forward with the water blade in a moment. 3 members of DFM left standing as they back away, but T1 with the Baron can push in for so much more.
Gumayusi, oh yes!
Okay, I see you.
Oh, that's
Oner
Faker.
is
Hello,
styling.
Faker.
Here we are. Hello.
Faker TP. Aria fishing for one more kill. Won't be a solo kill, but goes golden. Canna there to body block the fall up Paddle Star, and T1 just marching down mid lane. They've got a Baron empowered wave. It might be enough to end the game, but Steel coming back. It feels like instead it will just be 2 quick inhibitors picked up.
Hey, they want to go for it. At least Canna's just trying to pressure that one turret. But yeah, just take a look at this. It's just insane. Gumayusi unkillable. Doesn't need to use his sums on that one. On one side, and on the other hand, Oner are looking from a flank, and that's just been what Oner has been doing throughout this game. Has been really creative with the vision that they do have. And taking out this axe effect replay here, DFM wanted to push in. A great call to use ulti just to stun up the members of DFM so they don't have a chance to steal.
Yeah, and then it's all about the shockwave from here. As the 3 members of DFM try to exit out, FLICKR finds him as he has so many times before. No chance for them to get in, no chance for them to get away, and FLICKR again.
On locked up, FLICKR taking his time with this one. Clockwork wind up and a command attack gonna finish that kill off. Steel running, he's invisible, but T1 are still hunting him down anyway. On the chase, Whimsy does come out. T1 feels like all but certain victory. You're looking for really miracles, true, actual, honest-to-goodness miracles at this point for DFM, is T1 now pushing on the top side and are set to end the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough one for DFM overall. Really hard not being able to find that win, but a great showcase of their talent. Aria has been a real great star, but they have to draw the line in the sand somewhere. One last fight.
Heavy ulting, they can see that one coming. Steel going invisible, FLICKR potentially off to the side, but no, Gumayusi still finding these kills left and right. Doesn't matter what guns he has anymore, he's just too far ahead. All of T1 now collapsing on the Nexus, going for a few more cheeky kills. Why not? They've got the time, and it is certainly their game, but absolute dominance here from T1.
Made no mistake about it, T1 grabbed their 5th win of the group stage here, and now will be guaranteed at the very least the tiebreaker for first. They become 100 Thieves fans, see if they can knock out EDG, save them a little time at the end of the day. But if that does not happen, we are going to be having that tiebreaker between T1 and EDG, who has been getting ramped up here in week 2.
Yeah, and T1 is just a scary team. Jungle, top lane, have been a real force in this tournament. And Oner on his Qiyana, this is a great showcase of just his creativity, as I mentioned. A great playmaker. They don't have to start and flip around objectives. They just want to force those fights, and their team fights have been crisp.
And I think the thing that I really love from the side of T1 is that, in Gumayusi, obviously you have so many individual performers, but in this game, Shaco, obviously not something you're probably scrimming against, not something you see a ton. You played against it in solo queue. Despite that, the team reacted so well. That little ward on the top side for Canna, very big difference. The confidence to move in, getting bot prio, contesting the crabs. And while, yes, maybe there's some arguments that Steel could have played it differently, I think the one unknown element, this Shaco pick, they played so well around.
Yeah, I mean, they played very well around the win conditions of their opponents, trying to lock them down, trying to cover their bases, make sure that they weren't able to snowball. And then honestly from there, it just felt like it's a skill difference, right? T1 are so adept at the team fights, so adept in lanes.
Absolutely. Well, with that T1 win, it's time for us to step away and prepare for 100 Thieves to chase a final win at Worlds against EDG. And while we all get ready, check out 100 Thieves Picks Industry Baby by Lil Nas X is the song that represents their playstyle. You can find it and the rest of the teams competing at Worlds on the official Law playlist on Spotify.
I woke up to the morning sky first. Baby blue, just like we rehearsed.
They say where the legends come from. You know what a hero looks like. All the people on fire, fire. Maybe it's time they meet their dragon. 'Cause if I gotta
Would you ride with me? Handshake, one of a kind, homie. I be trying to vibe on the wave. I'm a big mean vibe on the wave.
when the world is coming near. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die. They become a part of you. Every time you play for reaching greatness, relentless, you will survive. They never lose hope when everything's gone.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where Lore is getting set up in Iceland to interview FLICKR in just a few moments. But in the meantime, we'll break down this victory by T1 over Detonation FocusMe. Important that they move to that 5-1 record so that they keep pace with what EDG could put up by the end of the day. I know, well, I know you were really hoping for the upset there so that EDG could just lock it up in the next game. But at the very least, if they get it done against 100 Thieves, we will have a tiebreaker for first. All of that said, there was a moment, a brief moment, albeit at the beginning of the game, where Team Aria looked like they could maybe get it done. The early kill on the FLICKR solo.
James, my face went from giant smile at the champ select in the beginning of this game to, shoot, it is running away quick. Because they start out, champ select. Shaco gets picked up. By the way, not Shaco. It's Shaco, and FLICKR is the clone. I thought he was actually going to go AP because AP Shaco is a little bit stronger in my opinion and just a better playstyle for pro play. But still, super happy to see it because it's the first champion that I made. Every time I've seen it come out in pro play, though, it has flopped. So I was very sad to see him, going melee range on the Aphelios with Lulu there and having white gun most of the time.
Hey,
but
he blew that flash on FLICKR, and if that flash doesn't get blown, Aria doesn't get that solo kill.
Exactly. The combo in the beginning, ganking mid, instantly getting the flash, then Aria pushes him under the turret with that, no flash, dives it, completes. That's your first goal, versus SKT.
Yeah.
As a
Get
team,
one on the board.
Getting that actual kill on him. Of course, the comeback from SKT tells a very different story, but.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, I think, Gumayusi popping off. His Aphelios game was absolutely insane. Even just, hitting on their draft. I really love T1's prio of Aphelios Lulu coming in. I think all the LCK teams have had such a good read on what is good right now in the current meta. And I mean, it looked sketchy at first, right? The solo kill mid, he goes top, gets another kill. Even Evie got a solo kill on Canna up in top side. But it's still always felt like T1 were in the driver's seat. They had a 1K gold lead from very early on.
That's the thing that I wanted to point out right there is the fact that you had early kills going the way of DFM, and instead it's T1 sporting the gold lead. And again, to me, that is one of the key characteristics of top teams at World Championships and international events is they somehow manage to cobble together gold leads even through non-typical means. And then you get to the late game, and of course, a team like Team 1 will find the fight they need to ultimately take it. Huge Qiyana ult there coming out of Oner to put this one in the bag. End of the day, though, I mean, for T1, they're going to feel good about this victory and moving to 5-1, staring down a possible tiebreaker later in the day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to come out with some momentum, right? They were heavy favorites. They expected to win this one, but seeing some of the pop-off moments from each of the individual members, I think Oner has been a player we've been highlighting all day long. Is, Kobe highlighted earlier his feast or famine play style. Definitely seeing the feast in this game. And once again, if they have to play the tiebreaker, he's going to be the key player.
He's well fed. He's well fed at the moment. Kobe, I'm a little curious too. Just a meta point, moving away from the game in terms of how it played out. But you look at this T1 squad, and what an interesting composition where you've got Graves, Qiyana, Lulu, Orianna, and Aphelios. There's not a single tank per se on that entire team comp.
There's been a bunch of very interesting points as far as the meta and how it's developed over group stage. And one tenet that has pulled them all together has been LCK. They've been the first ones on the Yuumi, the Graves top they invested very heavily in, Twisted Fate they invested very heavily in, into the Poppy jungle. All of these things, it feels like the LCK teams have coordinated and been on kind of the leading edge. Avant-garde picks really coming out. And a lot of the other teams are adapting well to them and incorporating them. But it does seem like there's an edge there.
Yeah, and again, we'll be very curious to see how it develops throughout the course of the tournament. Now, with the fate of DFM locked in, we turn our attention to the next matchup. We're still getting that FLICKR interview ready for you, but it's sports. 100 Thieves versus EDG. 100 Thieves looking to play spoiler, maybe get a win against the top team. EDG looking to extend and actually take it. But we want to take a look at our MasterCard fan predictions to see where everybody else is throwing their weight when it comes to these two squads. I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anybody that EDG is the favorite team. In fact,
I like those chances, though, 27%.
I was about to say, in fact, I'm surprised that 100 Thieves is even being given a 20%.
No. Look. An LPL team soul was sacrificed yesterday for the LCS to make it to quarters.
Yes.
So, you know,
so you're looking for the return of the favor there.
That was not by their choice, though. they went kicking and screaming.
They got 300 kicked, right? Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Booted
My
out
goodness.
the door.
I mean, I'm going to make the assumption that both of you are throwing your weight behind EDG when it comes to 100 Thieves. I think we put a lot of focus into the bot lane, but the scary thing about that is that seems to be one of EDG's biggest strengths.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a super difficult game for 100 Thieves, of course. But I like how they've approached it, and I especially loved Huhi's interview that he gave after their victory over DFM, focusing on growth, focusing on improvement, because they have not had quite enough time.
Well, we'll see if they can show their stuff in the next game. But Lore is now standing by with FLICKR, so let's send it to Iceland.
Thank you very much, Dash and FLICKR. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview. You guys are 5-1 before potential tiebreakers, and I remember in a recent interview you said that you were disappointed in your performance after 2021. How do you feel after the first round robin and after the setter game?
네, 우선 승리 너무 축하드립니다. 예전 인터뷰를 보셨을 때 올해의 활약에 대해서 크게 만족하지 않는다라고 언급하신 적이 있는데 그럼 지금까지 그룹 스테이지 경험에 대해서는 어떻게 좀 만족하고 계신지?
뭐 그래도 아직까지는 만족할 수 없는 경기력이라고 생각하고 있고 조금 이제 아직 그룹 스테이지다 보니까 좀 더 보여줘야 될 것 같다고 생각합니다.
I cannot say I'm satisfied yet, and because it's only group stage, I think I have more to display.
Satisfaction in the quarterfinals because you made it and you're a veteran at Worlds. You won 3 times. You have more participation than most of the players here. What does it mean to you to be back on the world stage specifically this time around?
네, 이제 8강전에 진출하신 만큼 8강에서 만족스러운 그런 모습이 보일 수 있길 바랍니다. 그럼 이제 페이커 선수는 정말 여기에 와 있는 그 모든 선수들보다 경력도 많으시고 월즈 참여 경험도 많고 3번이나 우승하신 그런 선수이신데 월즈에 참가한다는 건 어떤 의미를 갖고 있나요?
비록 이제 여러 번 출전하기도 했고 우승도 많이 했지만 여전히 월드에서 우승을 목표로 하고 있고 그리고 그 의미 자체는 예전이나 지금이나 여전히 저에게 있어서 중요하다고 생각합니다.
Even though I've been here multiple times, I won many titles, but still I'm here to win Worlds, and the meaning of Worlds is always the same and very important to me.
I can imagine, given how big of a player you can be now, focusing on the rest of the day, you may have a tiebreaker against EDG. They won the first time, you beat them convincingly the second time around. Looking at this potential tiebreaker, how do you think this one's going to go?
네, 그러면 이제 오늘은 좀 타이브레이커가 나올 수 있는 가능성이 있습니다. 저번 첫 번째 EDG전에서는 패배했지만 오늘은 굉장히 확실한 경기력으로 승리를 가져오셨는데요. 그럼 3번째 리매치가 발생하게 된다면 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 마지막 경기를 이기는 자가 진정한 승자라고 생각을 해가지고 이번에 만약에 타이브레이커에 가게 되면은 좀 반드시 이기고 싶은 마음이 있고 그리고 또 조 1위로 올라가는 것도 큰 의미가 있기 때문에 그만큼 중요하다고 생각합니다.
So who wins the last will be the real winner, and getting out of the groups as a first seed is a lot to me. So I really hope we can get victory in the last match as well.
Yeah, and it would be a first time from T1. Also, last question for you, FLICKR. It is always extra special when we have you participating in the World Championship. Is there something you want to say to the international fans today?
Thank you for watching, and thank you for cheering T1. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, FLICKR 감사합니다, for this interview. Jisun, thank you so much for the translation. And we're going to take a break now before looking at the last game of the day before tiebreakers. It's going to be EDG versus 100 Thieves. Stay tuned.